A solid long take is one of the most difficult shots that you can execute in a film. But if you get it right, it can serve as a completely immersive point of view that shows off your characters, your setting, and the action in one fell swoop. So what does it take to pull one off? So, what is a long take? Well, it's a certain shot that follows along a character or a situation through action without cutting away to a different shot. This shot can include many different kinds of shots within it, all stitched together with a fluid, continuous movement of the camera. So if you want to pull off a really good long take, there's one thing that you really need to do, and that's a whole lot of planning. For our short, we wanted to create a bank heist scene that follows the thief as he makes off with his loot. We start with him bursting out of the door and camera op 1 follows in front. The thief is tracked down the hall until the stairs where the camera is handed off to cameraman 2. Op 1 sprints down the side hall to a car where the second handoff will take place. Op 2 follows him down the stairs, gives the thief a Michael Bay type spin, and tracks his run from a side profile. We want to add a bit of action to this run by making it more exciting, so we add a run-in with an extra carrying a load of groceries. As the groceries fly in the air, the thief takes off and we get a wide over the shoulder of him approaching an oncoming car. He stops the car, demands the driver to get out, and gets in. The camera is then handed to Op 1 in the back seat. The camera then follows the driver as he makes his escape. When the car comes to the intersection, the camera is handed back to Op 2, who captures the thief, making his exit into the sunset. For our shoot, we used most of our own equipment, which included a Sony a6500 and a handheld gimbal. But we wanted to add something to make the shoot a little bit more interesting, a little bit more radical.
Rollerblades! Gnarly!
Determined to see who the best rollerbladist in the office is we're gonna hold rollerblading tryouts. See who's gonna be the cameraman. Logan's up first.
Radical! Disappointing! Excellent!
So, never in my life have I ever seen Todd so graceful. It's just, when he puts on the skates, he transforms into his new personality. Look at the man. He's skating backwards. So with rollerblades and a gimbal set up in hand, we began our rehearsal process. I will note that using a gimbal is an absolute necessity on a shot like this. With all the running you'll be doing, you want a shot that is smooth and stabilized. We use a Xeon 3-axis stabilizer that costs us about $500, but I promise it will dramatically increase the stabilization of your footage and make it go from this to this. Timing out the movement of your crew is extremely important. You don't want someone to be late for their mark during a long take. One mistake can ruin the entire shot. Give your actors cues for their movements so they know exactly where to be at the right time. If you only have a certain number of camera people to work with, know that there's going to be a lot of sprinting involved to pull off the shot. When Todd handed off the camera at the first mark, he had to blade down to the car as fast as possible to be ready for the window handoff. After I handed off the camera to Todd, I had to sprint up the parking lot to be ready for the final handoff. One problem we kept running into was getting the handoffs right. We kept bumping the camera in the wrong way when it traded hands. So with a little bit of practice, we planned out where our hands would be and where the other cameraman would grab it from. When you're running with the gimbal, know that even with the best stabilization technology, you're still gonna get a few bumps in your footage if you run with a bounce. To combat this, try running with a heel to toe motion that minimizes the movement in your arms and torso. We went through about 10 or 12 takes to get this shot. After the 4th or 5th take, everyone started to find their groove. Always be patient. These types of shots are really intricate and they take a lot of energy to pull off. Even with this many hours and takes, we still had a few bumps and mistakes that ended up in the final cut. So if you want your long take to be perfect, make sure that you have ample time to rehearse and execute the shot you envisioned. So, why use a long take? Well, for one, it brings a dynamic feel to your video, and it also places your viewer in a point of view that captures action in a very unique way. Even with minimal equipment, a long take adds a whole lot of production value that enhances your video to a professional grade. So go out and plot your own long take, grab a crew, and get rockin'. Oh, and don't forget your rollerblades. We'll see you next time.